Hello and welcome to the English Literature Paper 2 Walking Talking Mock for the students at King Alfred's Academy. We're going to talk you through those of you that have scribes and one-to-one exam arrangements, exactly what to do in each part of this paper with timings starting now. So turn now to the Inspector Calls question. You have 45 minutes to do this question, 5 to 10 minutes to plan it, and then 30 to 35 minutes to write it. And there are 2 questions to answer, and you need to pick one and answer only one. Either how does Priestley use the character of Mr. Burling to explore ideas about responsibility, or how does Priestley present manipulation in an Inspector Calls? So you need to choose one of these 2. Here's something that might help you. If you want to do the character essay, you need to plan 3 paragraphs with a brief introduction and conclusion. How does Priestley use Burling to present ideas about responsibility? And you'll probably write 3 paragraphs about that near the beginning of the play, that in the middle of the play, and that at the end of the play, thinking about what quotes you could use. Or if you're planning the theme question about manipulation, you will probably plan 3 paragraphs each about a different character. So how does Priestley use one character to show us something about manipulation? How does he use another? How does he use a third? And overall, what is he saying about manipulation? So you can either plan a theme or a character question, but you need to do that for the next 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, so pause the video here if you wish to spend 5 to 10 minutes planning, and then start it again when you've done that. Now you're going to write up some reminders about when you're writing. You need to use ICE, talking about inferences, connotations, and the effect on the audience of keywords when you're using quotations. You need to talk about any techniques Priestley uses, what Priestley's trying to show his audience, so link to the bigger ideas in the play, things like capitalism or social class or the generation gap. Try and use more than one quote in each paragraph if you can remember more than one, and try and link the beginning of your essay to the end. What have we learnt in the course of the play? So your writing time will start now. 3 paragraphs plus an intro and a conclusion, and here are some sentence starters on the left for the character question, on the right for the theme question. You have 30 to 35 minutes, and you can pause this video and unpause it after that time. Okay, so now turn past the conflict poetry to the unseen poetry section. You have 35 minutes to do this, 5 to 10 minutes to plan, and that is where you will get your grade, and then 20 to 25 minutes writing, about sort of 7 minutes a paragraph for 3 paragraphs. The question is, in Storm in the Black Forest, how does the poet present the speaker's feelings about the storm? You have 5 to 10 minutes now to highlight and annotate, and I'd look at the first line, think about why start the poem there. I'd look at key images or groups of images, things that you can visualize in your mind's eye. I'd try and find an image that has enjambment or caesura or an end stop, some interesting punctuation at the end of the line or in the middle. And then I'd look at the last line and think, well, why end the poem here? How does this relate back to the first line? Just to give you the extensions before you start annotating, an example, a good annotated poem should look like this. Lots of things highlighted and written around it. If you're going for top grades, try and link what you're saying to bigger, more abstract ideas, and look at how the stanzas are arranged and split up, and any patterns of repeated words, semantic fields, pronouns, that kind of thing. So what most people are going to do is highlight these 4 things for the next 5 to 10 minutes and press pause now and unpause afterwards. Okay, to write this up then, you'll look at 4 paragraphs. In the beginning, how the poet presents the storm, talking about probably something around the first line. Later on, something about a key image. Later on, something about a key image. One of those might be linked to enjambment or caesura or an end stop. And then at the end, how the storm's presented and how that compares to the start. Remember to name any techniques or word types in those quotes and never say one thing about anything. Always use about a couple of interpretations of what they might show us. So you have 30 to 35 minutes to do that, starting now. Pause and then unpause when you're done. Sorry, my mistake. 20 to 25 minutes to write it up. Pause and then unpause when you're done. Okay, so you're more than halfway through the paper now, and this is really fast, this next question. It's the unseen comparison. 10 minutes and you read another poem and you compare it to the one you've just written about. The question is to compare the relationship between man and nature. You're going to annotate this in a couple of minutes pretty quickly, and all you need is 1 similarity and 1 difference. So just a couple of minutes. Pause here and then unpause afterwards, looking for man's relationship with nature, a similarity or a difference. When you've done that, the extensions are the same, trying to look at the bigger, more abstract ideas in these poems, maybe say something about the lines and the stanzas. I'd write up, probably most people watching this will write up 2 paragraphs. One saying what both poets do, so a similarity, and one saying however, and showing a difference between the 2 poems and how they present nature. So you've only got about 8 minutes to do that. I do that pretty quickly. 1 similarity, 1 difference. Starting now. Pause and unpause when you're done. Okay, congratulations. You can now turn back to the conflict poem. You've got 45 minutes and you are out. So 10 good minutes planning this and 35 minutes writing. The question is, compare how poets present experiences of war in Bayonet Charge and 1 other poem from Power and Conflict. So, first step, it's Bayonet Charge and it's about experience of war. Choose the poem you're going to compare it to. It's likely to be one of these. You might want to spend a minute thinking which of these gives a good comparison, is same but different, looking at experience of war. Okay, when you've chosen your poem, you now have, just like the unseen poem, about 10 minutes to highlight, looking at the first line, why start here, key images, things that stick in your mind that you can visualize, any images that also have enjambment, caesura or an end stop on the line, and the last line, why end here. And all the way through you're kind of going to think, well, how can I link this to the other poem? The only paragraph you really need to link if you're struggling is the key image. So 10 minutes now to highlight, think what links you can make to quotes you know from your other poem, and when you pause now and then unpause when you're done. Okay, when you're writing up, same extensions, choose your best quotations, link to bigger abstract ideas, and maybe look at lines or stanzas. Writing up then, first of all, 5 minutes to write a very quick introduction, just to get it clear in your mind that 2 people are writing 2 very different things about the experience of war. So in bayonet charge, Hughes presents the experience of war as what? Maybe one or two things that Hughes shows us about war, and why he does it. He does this because. Then in contrast, in your chosen poem, the poet presents the experience of war as differently, like this. And he does this because of this reason, or she does this because of this reason. So I pause here and write a quick 5-minute intro. Okay, the final slide then, writing up 4 paragraphs and a conclusion. You're going to look at how the poet presents the experience of war in the beginning of the poem in front of you, then later on another paragraph about maybe a key image in it, or something to do with the lines, then later on another key image which you can contrast to the poem that you have learnt some quotes from, and talk about the contrast. So talk about a quote from this poem in front of you, talk about a quote from that poem that you've learnt, and compare the two. And then all in all, both poets, and tell us what they both tell us about the experience of war. If you're looking for an extension, you could try and make links between the poems all the way through. How they both start, how they both use lineation, the different lines, how they both have different images. Up to you. But have at least one link. You've got about 35 minutes, starting now. Okay, you can pause here, and if you are done, you can then unpause. Okay, so some key messages for tonight. I'm sure you're probably sitting there thinking, oh, I couldn't answer